When she revealed that my husband was the father, my best friend's baby shower turned into a nightmare. What happened next shocked everyone. Yesterday, my husband, 32, and I, 30th, went to my best friend Sarah's 30th baby shower. Sarah and I have been best friends since college, when we first moved in together as roommates, but our bond grew stronger as we discovered that we had similar musical tastes. We went to concerts together and made countless memories, and by our senior year of college, we were practically inseparable, spending time together in each other's despite having completely unique schedules. We always made time to connect, whether it was going on a hike, going out to drinks at a new restaurant, or just staying home to watch movies. After we finished school, we pursued different careers, but I was able to land a highly sought-after job at a prestigious law firm. Sarah wasn't sure if she wanted a regular job, so she decided to look into social media as a source of income. We frequently argue about who fell in love first, but the truth is that we both fell deeply in love that same night. Fortunately, we have been happily married for 5 years, and it has been nothing short of ideal. I often tell Sarah how thankful I am that she invited me to the pub that night, because without it, I would not have met my lovely spouse, Sarah, who was single for a few years. Michael was at his friend's bachelor celebration on one of our girls' nights out, and I knew he was the one for me the moment I saw him. I was honored when Sarah entrusted me with planning her baby shower because I would be the baby's godmother. After considering several themes, we decided on yellow, which is Sarah's favorite hue. Throughout the planning process, I maintained regular contact with Sarah. Sarah announced she was pregnant 3 months ago, and I was ecstatic to see my closest friend begin this new chapter in her life and hold her baby soon. Sarah and her current spouse, Mark, celebrated their second anniversary this year. We arrived early on the day of the shower to make sure everything was perfect, and Mark met us at the door and told us that Sarah was still getting ready. While setting up, I noticed that the cake was not centered on the table as Sarah requested, so I quickly fixed it after the guests started to arrive. As luck would have it, I had already worked with the caterer for my brother's wedding, so it was easy to work with her again. As the ceremony went on, we all sat down to a delicious lunch, and everything seemed to be going smoothly until Sarah called everyone's attention. She stood up and thanked us for attending her baby shower. Then she took a deep breath and said, "I'm thrilled." We were thrilled to see some of our old college pals, whom we hadn't seen in years, so we took advantage of the opportunity to catch up and discuss important life updates. Sarah entered the room wearing a bright yellow outfit that matched her baby shower theme, and everyone congratulated her. I wanted to inform you that my husband Mark and I are expecting our first child, and I have an exceptional person to thank for that. Mark looked at Sarah in confusion as he tried to figure out what was happening, and then he pointed directly at my husband, Michael. She said, "I'd like to introduce the father of our baby," almost choking on my dinner. The room fell silent, and I could see that everyone was shocked and unsure of how to react. My mind was racing to make sense of what was happening, as my husband, who doesn't like attention, prefers to keep to himself. He grabbed my hand firmly beneath the table. I turned to face him, and he appeared to be just as confused as I was. In an awkward and uncomfortable silence, everyone was watching us, so I turned to Sarah for an explanation. To put things in perspective, my husband and I have been trying to conceive for years without success, and despite multiple tests, we have been unable to conceive due to personal medical issues. I've only shared my struggles with a select few family members and close friends, such as when Sarah and I finally came to terms with the possibility that we might not be able to conceive. We chose to focus on our lives together rather than worrying about it. Sarah openly called my husband the father of her child, which was untrue, but I couldn't help but be moved by her remarks. I tried not to cry in front of everyone, but Sarah jumped up laughing and playfully shoved her husband Mark, shouting, "I was just kidding, guys. This is all just a prank for my Instagram. I've put up cameras everywhere to capture all of your reactions." As everyone looked around in confusion, I couldn't help but be annoyed at Sarah for taking us on such a roller coaster of emotions. I couldn't believe my best friend found it funny that my spouse was pointing out my spouse as the father of her child, especially considering our previous problems. I turned to face my spouse and saw that his face was flushed. He was still holding my hands, and I could tell he was ashamed at the time. Although a few guests laughed nervously, the room was generally uncomfortable, and I noticed that Sarah's husband Mark did not participate in the "I would rather not confront Sarah right away and ruin her baby shower" as she continued with the festivities. I tried to shake the dread that had crept in, but it persisted. After lunch, we played a few games before opening all the gifts, and Sarah was the only one who seemed to be enjoying talking to people and taking pictures for the occasion. He looked upset rather than amused, and he even apologized to my husband Mark. My husband and Mark had become close friends over the years, and I think he felt sorry for us at the time. Social media, my spouse had previously told me in private that he planned to leave after the terrible meal, but I urged him to stay because I didn't want the guests to notice us leaving without warning. I told him that I would discuss it with Sarah later. I assumed Mark was also uncomfortable with the celebration because he got up right away and asked Sarah if they could go outside for a while. I knew something was going to happen because we could all see and hear them clearly as they spoke. As their conversation heated up and Mark's gestures became more passionate, I noticed that Sarah's joke had made the room uncomfortable. Mark's words, "I can't believe you would do something like this," echoed throughout the room. "They are our closest friends, and this is not just a harmless prank. You made a mockery of our baby shower and humiliated me in front of everyone." Sarah insisted that she thought it was a harmless prank, but Mark was not having any of it and firmly told her to mature and stop saying hurtful things, especially since they were celebrating the birth of their child. The room had grown uncomfortably quiet, and we could all hear what they were saying. My husband eventually got up and said he would wait for me in the car, even though I felt sorry for my friend. I understood how hurt my husband was, and I couldn't hold it against him for leaving. Mark must have realized the seriousness of what Sarah had done, because as he watched my husband leave, he looked at Sarah and said, I'm done with you." I knew my husband needed me more at the time, so I would rather not approach Sarah after her painful conversation with Mark. I'd also left the baby shower without saying goodbye, and when I got home, I saw how upset my husband was. "I will love this child, but I can't be with you for even a second longer." Sarah broke down in tears when she heard this, and Mark left the gathering. We all looked at each other in surprise, unsure of how to react. Mark apologized to us via text that evening, saying he had no idea she would pull a hoax like that for a video and that he was please excuse everything we had been through. We were happy that he reached out because we would rather not harbor any animosity toward him and thoroughly understood his perspective. However, when I woke up this morning, I received numerous messages from Sarah, who claimed that she pulled the prank because she was stressed out from her pregnancy and only wanted to create a viral video for her Instagram. She said she didn't understand why we were distraught, and she asked me to meet her today so that I could take her to her gynecologist visit, and I started to get upset again. I told her that I didn't find her joke funny, that what she did was rude, and that it had made my husband and me very uncomfortable. I'd also told her that I needed some time away from her and that I wouldn't be able to go with her to her appointment that day. Sarah responded by calling me a shady friend for leaving her at such a vulnerable time. When I told my husband about Sarah's message, he was equally as incensed as I was and suggested that we refrain from communicating with her until she understood the seriousness of her actions. I chose to send Sarah a final message telling her that I would not be communicating with her until she apologized to both my husband and me for what she had done. I'd also clarified it that if she tried to upload the prank film, I would take legal action. This message really bothered me at the time. Instead of offering an apology, Sarah said she didn't think she had done anything wrong and even implied that I was jealous of her because she was pregnant. When I read her response, I was shocked to see that this woman, who had been my best friend for more than 10 years, thought I was jealous of her, even though I had gone above and beyond to give her the best baby shower possible. Sarah promised not to upload the movie, but she insisted that I set my feelings aside and help her through this trying time. As a non-confrontational person, I found myself crying when she said that her husband hadn't come home the previous evening and that she needed me more than before. After reading her heartless messages, I realized that I couldn't continue the conversation, so I made the difficult decision to block her without receiving a response. Now, I'm torn between regretting not being there for my pregnant best friend and being relieved and even thankful that her husband left her after the deception she pulled on us. 1 week has passed since my last update, and a lot has happened. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that Sarah is not the kind of person who likes to joke around. I've known her for years, and she's never been the type to pull practical jokes on people. Nevertheless, Mark was serious about leaving Sarah, and my spouse spoke with Mark over the weekend and found out that he is actively seeking a divorce lawyer. Since then, Sarah has been calling and texting Mark nonstop. Although Mark is adamant that he go back to her and move on from his feelings, he has completely disregarded her attempts to get in touch with him. She even went so far as to accuse him of having an affair with me, which was completely unexpected. The truth is that Mark is just sorry that his marriage is ending because Sarah is slowly changing into someone he no longer recognizes. Sarah has been unable to get in touch with me directly since I blocked her, so she left a long note for my husband in which she accused him of trying to sour our friendship. I was upset when my husband showed me the note when he got home from work yesterday. Up until now, I had tried to ignore her sudden change in behavior, assuming it was due to pregnancy hormones. But her disparaging remarks to my spouse were completely incorrect, so I decided to discipline her. I was in charge of the baby shower and the baby registry, and I had spent many hours with Sarah talking about her needs and creating a list of essential items for the baby. Sarah, however, insisted that we put ridiculously expensive items on the list that not everyone could afford. I observed that although some guests adhered to the list, others gave her useful items that weren't on the list but would still be helpful to a new mother. Sarah was really upset about this. Initially, I had planned to personally give her a few of the expensive items she wanted, but after she insulted my husband, I quickly canceled the order and deleted the baby registry. In addition, I received a message from the caterer about the baby shower a few days ago, but I was too busy interacting with Sarah to respond. As a surprise gift for Sarah, I had already paid half of the catering service's booking fees and intended to pay the remaining balance after the baby shower, but given everything that had happened, I became completely distracted and forgot about it. I called the caterer and explained the situation to them. I was happy that I wouldn't have to spend any more money on someone who had publicly insulted us and continued to harm us with her harsh text messages, so I told Sarah that I would not be paying the remaining amount. The caterer was very kind and told me that since Sarah had booked the catering service under her name and had communicated with them before the baby shower, the final payment would be sent to Sarah rather than me. I also told my spouse about it, and he thought it was funny. I'm thankful to everyone who supported me and helped me see how harmful her behavior was in retrospect. I can remember multiple times when she criticized me, but I never gave them much thought until now. Regardless, I'm going to stay positive and move on from this experience because I would rather not waste any more time or energy on her update too. Sarah is unashamed. I had considered getting in touch with her the previous days, but once she sent that letter to my husband, I realized that I had gone beyond the point of forgiveness. Email a few days after I spoke with the caterer, I knew she was back with me as soon as her name showed up in my email. She accused me of being cheap for not paying for the full food service, even though she knew I could afford it, saying I had always been conceited because I was born into my family's wealth. She also expressed her relief that I would never conceive, saying she had been using me for years to make her life easier, then repeatedly called me ugly and implied that I was throughout the email. She used explosive profanity, essentially calling me every derogatory name in the book. I showed my husband the email, and he promptly deleted it. Over the years, we have both gone above and beyond to help this woman. We were there for her when she was single and upset over multiple breakups, and we have brought her on board. She also claimed that my husband married me only for my money because I was too ugly to be with him. Furious, my husband immediately called Mark and invited him over for dinner to discuss the issue. When Mark arrived, we handed him the email, and his expression was one of complete contempt. He then gave us text conversations from Sarah in which she used similar profanity and even accused him of cheating, which shocked us greatly. My spouse had even helped Sarah's parents by restoring their home and lending them money a while back. It was hard to believe that my old best friend, with whom I had recently broken up, had changed so drastically given the seriousness of the charge, which was not something to be thrown around or said out of anger toward one's spouse. Mark informed us that he was in contact with a reputable divorce lawyer, and on the advice of his lawyer, he never replied to Sarah's texts, no matter how crazy or cruel they were. Instead, he took screenshots of everything she sent him and took a picture of the email she sent me so he could demonstrate. I've had a few DMs from people who are worried about Sarah because of her sudden change in behavior, assuming she has neurological abnormalities. I'd like to add that she's always had temper issues, even while we were in college, and I witnessed her lose her temper and use profanity toward others, even in public. Although I doubt this is a medical issue, my husband and I will still speak with her parents about the situation because we want to tell them everything and show them everything. I have gone above and beyond for this woman, and it is extremely disappointing that she continues to treat me badly, belittle me, and treat me disrespectfully. I intend to move on from this experience and concentrate on enjoying life with my spouse and our dogs. The last few months have been an emotional roller coaster, to put it mildly. If they think there is something wrong with her, They should take her for a medical checkup. At the very least, I hope everyone is starting the new year well. My husband and I are in the Maldives, taking a much-needed vacation from our busy jobs because of the events of the previous year. So far, we have been lounging on the beach and enjoying refreshing cocktails at the resort. Several of you have asked for an update, and as anticipated, Mark and Sarah have formally separated. The court case was heated, with Mark's attorney presenting evidence and their previously agreed-upon premarital agreement, but despite Sarah's best efforts, she and her attorney lost the case. Nevertheless, both parties were told to create a co-parenting plan that would benefit their child. When we contacted Sarah's parents regarding her unpredictable behavior, we found that she needed to return to their home because, presumably, she was pregnant and lacked the necessary work experience to support herself for an extended period of time using only social media. After learning from our mutual friends that everyone quickly distanced themselves from her following the disastrous baby shower, no one wanted to get involved in her drama. Mark did not visit Sarah after filing for divorce until she went into labor, spending the entire night in the delivery room to watch the birth of their daughter. Since then, he has dedicated himself to taking care of the baby, spending as much time with her as possible, and providing the agreed-upon financial support. He still sees my husband on the weekends, whether it's to play golf or have drinks in the evening. Sarah was compelled to pay the remaining balance for the baby shower caterer after he threatened to take legal action. Sarah has sent me multiple emails accusing me of being responsible for her life circumstances, even though her parents have put her through several medical tests and she is perfectly healthy, so there is no justification for her immature behavior. Hopefully, for the sake of her daughter, she will make an effort to change and improve herself in the future. My husband and I did not allow this circumstance to have an impact on Sarah. We moved past it within a month and focused on our personal and professional lives. We still go on Sunday dates, and I still feel the same excitement and gratitude when I look at my husband as I did when we first met. I'm thankful to be spending my life with him. I also want to offer my condolences to all the couples who have shared their struggles with infertility. I want you to know that it's okay and that life moves on. There are many other ways to become parents, but my husband and I are happy with each other's company and have decided to live out the rest of our lives together. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and click the notification bell to stay up to date on more shocking real-life stories happening around you. And we must trust the journey if you truly love your partner.